In the EU, the member states take turns having the presidency in the Council of the European Union. The so-called rotating presidency changes every 6 months and is a core part of how the Union works. First of all, what is the Council of the EU? It is one of the 7 EU institutions, and it is very important because it represents all of the member states who each get a representative on the Council. And all EU laws and many other decisions have to be approved by this Council. The Council also has the nickname the Council of Ministers, because every government sends their ministers to represent their country. Which ministers depends on the subject being discussed. Council has a few different configurations. So for example, if the Council has to make a decision regarding a new law about agriculture, then every country sends their agriculture minister to vote. And most votes do require a qualified majority, and the most important votes even require unanimity, which means that every country has to agree. So decisions often require a lot of negotiations and compromises to get everyone to back the proposal. And this is where the presidency comes into play. You see, the country that has the presidency of the Council has the responsibility to set the agenda, to lead the discussions, and in the end, to make sure that the countries take a common decision. So if there's a meeting of, for example, the European agriculture ministers, then the minister from the country that has the presidency will chair the meeting and make sure that the legislative process moves forward. And as I've said, this presidency is rotating every 6 months. So for 6 months, one of the member states gets the presidency, and during that time, it's their ministers and their representatives that acts as president during the council meetings. But then, after the 6 months are over, the presidency goes over to another country. And this comes with a lot of power and influence, because as the president you can decide what the council will prioritize. A 6-month-long agenda is set up regarding what the council should do during the presidency. So because of that, it is often so that for an initiative in the EU to be successful, it is required that the country with the presidency actively works toward achieving that goal by, setting it on the agenda and making sure that everyone makes an effort to come up with a compromise so that this decision can actually be made. So the presidency is really important to be able to get the momentum behind the things you want to get done. And this also means a lot of meetings. So all official meetings where the actual voting takes place are located in Brussels. But during the presidency, there are often over 150 unofficial meetings hosted by the country with the presidency. And during these meetings, important topics are discussed between ministers. And there are also a lot of meetings between, bureaucrats and experts employed by the council. So and this is also an opportunity for the host country to display its country to the rest of the union. By, for example, let's say, inviting all the energy ministers to see a new power plant or something like that to display progress being made in your own country. But how is it decided which country will get the presidency? Well, it's quite easy because it's basically just a rolling schedule which loops. And because there are 27 members of the EU, that means that after your country has had the presidency, it will take around, right now it is 13.5 years until the next time you get the presidency. And this order isn't completely randomized. It has been made in a way so that countries from the same area do not have the presidency one after another. And they've also made sure so that it alternates between bigger and smaller countries. And there's also something called the trio system. This means that 3 member states who have the presidency consecutively after one another, they cooperate together in a trio for an 18-month period. So the trio starts when the first country in the trio gets the presidency, and the trio ends when the last country has had its presidency. And then it goes over to the next trio. So this is to make sure that there is longer continuity And it also made it possible for newer member states to get help from more experienced members in the trio, for bigger countries in a trio to help the smaller ones, and with all the resources that all the meetings will require. And if we look right now, we will see that Ireland has a presidency, and the trio right now is Ireland, Lithuania, and Greece. So after Ireland, Lithuania will take over the presidency for 6 months, and then Greece, and then after Greece, it's Italy's turn, and then we will also have a new trio. So then the trio will be Italy, Latvia, and Luxembourg. And so this rolling schedules loops around and around in a 13-year period. So you can see how long it will be until your country gets the presidency.